Well, hi everyone. I'm Rachel Allard back again today with another edition of our Female Founder series. Today, I'm super excited to have an amazing woman with us who has a really broad array of experience, comes from a technology, marketing background, then found her way into real estate. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Vicky Mitchener, the broker owner and head of Dickens Mitchener, one of Charlotte, North Carolina's top real estate firms and the top independent firms, one of them in the country. So, welcome, Vicky.
Thank you. So glad to be here. I'm celebrating 30 years of being the owner of Dickens Mitchener, and it's just an honor to be here and share our story and talk a little bit about where we're heading in the future. So thank you for asking me to be on.
Well, I'm really excited because, and as I mentioned in the introduction, your background is not necessarily traditional for all sort of broker owners who get into this space. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate and how you got to being the owner of Dickens Mitchell?
Yes, I was working for Xerox Corporation and just traveling all the time and talked to my brothers. They were in commercial real estate and they encouraged me to look into real estate, residential or commercial. And I talked to a couple of real estate agents in Charlotte and it just sounded fantastic. So I did it. I dropped my real job and got into the real estate business. And because of the technology background at that time, that was about 35 years ago when I started, very few firms were using technology. So very quickly after entering the industry, I recognized that there was a need for a high-tech company. And so started Dickens Mitchener and Associates. And of course, now everyone's using technology, but back then they really weren't at that time.
So, how long were you an agent before you started your own company? Not very long then, or?
No, I was an agent for 3 years, and I really didn't want to start a company. It wasn't on my radar to be an owner, but I could not find went out at the time, interviewed other residential firms to see if someone else was doing what I thought needed to be done. And at that time, coming out of a very technological organization like Xerox, they were doing joint marketing, and obviously they had every kind of technology at our fingertips. So I knew that we could do this a lot more efficiently. And after interviewing two or three firms in Charlotte, I didn't see what I wanted. And so we started the company and just started with two or three people. And now over the 30 years has grown to over 100. And we just say one good agent and one good client at a time. And we've had an incredible 30 years.
Well, I love that you said that one good agent, one client at a time, because you actually, when I first heard about your company, you seem like a really big, I mean, you're so well established, you're so successful, you're doing a lot of volume. And when I discovered that, your team was only 100 agents, I was like, wow, there's companies with 1,000 agents out there that would kill for the reputation that Dickens Missioner has. So I'm curious because you talked about efficiency and you with your technology background, what do you think you put into place when you first started the company? And what have you done since then that's really enabled that success and growth of your brand while not necessarily needing to have 1,000 or 2,000 agents working for you?
So there's a few key things that I think we do. One, I was a trainer at Xerox, and so we are very passionate about training. And even the ones that of us that have done this for 30 years, we're constantly training and learning new things. So training is a huge foundation at our organization, and we also have a mentor program. So everybody, I feel like, is brought up to speed very rapidly. The second thing, we do not allow part-time and we have minimum production requirements. This is typically the biggest asset of any family or any individual. And I just feel like that the person that's handling this should be very qualified to do that. So if it's a new agent, we have them with a mentor. Other than that, all of our agents are so well trained. Our average agent is selling over 8 million a year. So really, I say it's a team of athletes. And there's plenty of other organizations that allow the part-time. We just personally don't believe in that. My name is on the sign, and I just think it's very important that anyone that calls into our organization is getting an athlete. And our corporate clients love that also. Oftentimes people think there's only one or two people that can handle their real estate needs. I feel confident that every agent in our organization can do a beautiful job. And so that's our goal. And our goal is not to get bigger in the number of agents, but for the agents to produce more or produce the goals that they're after. So I would rather these agents produce more than hire additional agents. And obviously it's worked well for us.
I love that philosophy. And you mentioned some numbers, the minimum productivity you require of your agents. I'm curious if there are other sort of data points or measures that you use to also evaluate whether the team is delivering that high-end experience. If you look at reviews or sort of customer feedback, or there are other things that kind of help you know that that reputation is sort of there and that experience is there.
Yes, so we do send reviews out, and those come back. Sometimes they don't come back. You typically, with an organization of our size, if someone is not happy, we hear and know of this very early on, and get it very involved and help with whatever is the problem. But our reviews are amazing on the agents, and I feel like the proud mother when we get those reviews. So we do send out surveys, and of course, with all the social media and everything now, the agents are encouraging for the reviews online. So our client surveys are fantastic on the agents. They really are.
That's wonderful. Well, and I'm curious too, with your background in data and technology, also, you mentioned sort of efficiency and systems, and what are sort of the tools that your team has found to be most helpful for them to really enable that amazing user experience for their customers?
We we still say that one-on-one communication is the best.
Mm.
Obviously, DocuSign and Zip forms and the agents receiving the houses immediately on their smartphones to know that a new listing is out there. All that has really allowed the process to go a lot faster. And as in many markets, we're seeing people are even buying homes without even seeing the home. So what we have seen the technology do is it has limited our one-on-one visiting with our clients, which I personally miss. But now with COVID, it has been quite nice because we already had all of this in place. And so we are allowed to continue to work and not have as much contact with our clients. But I think ultimately, all the technology just speeds everything up for us. The back to basics, I think, is where we are different, and that is with the customer attention, the communications, giving them tips on the best things about Charlotte. And so you still have to have the old fashioned touches, I think, to really do a fantastic job for the clients. But all the technology is right there, and it really helps things move faster, which consequently allows us to help sell more homes.
Yeah, well, I love that. And I'm also glad you mentioned the sort of elephant in the room or elephant in the Zoom room, which is crazy year we are having. We are in the middle of a global pandemic. And I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about how your business has changed or hasn't changed. Have you been able to still have that personal connection with your agents and then your agents with their customers this year?
It's very fascinating. I would never wish this on us again. But what we have really come out of this, because we've had 3 or 4 years that we have just been so busy and our growth has been so huge, we immediately, our communication became so much more intentional. Mecklenburg County was deemed real estate agents were non-essential. So we were shut down for 6 weeks. And so really what we did during that 6 weeks is we communicated a lot, not only among each other, but with leading real estate companies of the world, a lot of training. I'm in a couple of different presidents organizations. We were also meeting via Zoom weekly. And so what really became essential, which now that we're back out showing we have not stopped, is that constant communication. So I think if anything we come out of this is that we don't all have to be in the same conference room to get a lot of information and share ideas. We can do it electronically like this. So I think it has become much more intentional. There's a lot of planning going on. There's not as much travel and travel time. So there is definitely more planning and strategic work going on right now, which I think is fantastic because I'll be honest, in the last 3 years, we've all been too busy managing the growth and the speed. And so that is the beauty that will come out of this.
Right? Sort of the forced reflection time.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep. Well, and congratulations on all your success. I mean, it
Thank
really
you.
is wonderful to see. You mentioned leading real estate companies of the world and some of the presidents groups that you're involved with. And I'm curious whether you can elaborate on how valuable those associations and that kind of those networking opportunities have been for you, and sort of whether you advise your agents to pursue similar, not just their local community, but fostering that community within the industry as well.
Yes, I consider them trusted advisors. And what is so fantastic about leading real estate companies of the world, they are other real estate companies in other markets doing the same thing that I'm doing. So it's just an amazing group to reach out. And I'm in a smaller group of 15 company owners and ask, are you using this program? How are you rolling out COVID? Can you share with me how y'all are setting up procedures for reopening your office? So it not only during this, but over the last 10, 15 years has been an amazing organization. I will say the training throughout this from leading real estate companies of the world has been the best and the calmest, hearing from their economists on a weekly basis and not feeling like you need to jump off the roof has been very refreshing. The president's group I'm in is from different industries, and that is also fantastic because I can get different opinions, but not just in real estate. And of course, we tend to drive the economy, real estate, but I just learned so much from these other organizations. I think it's critical for anyone that's building their business, whether it's a single agent. And I consider them the president of their own company. I tell our agents, you're the president, and we're here to facilitate and help you meet your goals. But to build a group of trusted advisors is critical during great times and challenging times. I couldn't have gone through these last couple of challenging recession, COVID without these peer groups. I really couldn't.
Well, and I'm glad, sorry, just muting all the background construction noise. I'm really glad that also talked about other industries, because I think that we can be really myopic in, where whatever lens we're focusing on at the moment. And I'm curious, sort of, there's trend spotting, right? There's hearing the noise, there's knowing what the next big thing is, and then there's also doing something about it. And I want to go back to what you first said when, you were talking to your brothers about going into real estate. It takes a lot of courage to switch industries, switch careers. And also, even if you see sort of a problem that needs to be solved, entrepreneurship is just taking a problem and solving it. It still takes a lot of courage. And so I guess I'm curious whether you've had conversations with other women or anyone out there who are looking to take leaps like that. And what would you say to them? How do you advise them?
I think, and one of my best friends at age 60 started her own commercial real estate firm recently, and I've been trying to get her to do it for 15 years. And it is a very hard jump, especially the older you get, because the more you have to lose. I was 30 and I look back and I think, gosh, was I crazy? Both my parents were entrepreneurs and business people. So I think it's innately in me to do something like this. I really think the sooner you make that decision, oftentimes is better. And even becoming an agent, I I have so many agents, and once again, I consider them presidents of their own company. And after 3 years, they're like, "Oh, I wish I'd done this 10 years ago." So it's really listening to your heart. And I loved Xerox. I loved the people. I loved everything. But there were a lot of factors that were not fitting into what I felt like was the future of how I wanted to raise a family and build a community and be within a community. And so I think you've got to really look at your lifestyle and what's most important in your lifestyle, and then make that call of, if will this fit into your lifestyle, because it is a lot. But I was very my husband, we got married and had 3 daughters, and very early on, I really worked an 8 to 6, and came home and had, the time with my family. So I'm a type of person that I can definitely put everything in a box and say, now I'm a mommy, and now I'm a wife, and now I'm a realtor, now I'm the president of the company. So I think you have to assess your skills. I'm a multitasker, and I'm an incredible delegator. I believe other people can do so many things better than I can. I know what I do a great job at, and I don't think any one person can do everything really well. But I don't fear allowing someone else to do something else. And if they blotch it, we're going to try it again. And so I do think to become a company owner, you have to have faith in other people. You've got to be a delegator. And you've got to be willing to allow other people to take on significant roles if you want nice growth and a rational lifestyle.
Well, and I'm glad you said that too, because I talk to so many people in this industry who tell me they never take vacation, and they were glad about COVID because it forced them to take vacation. And so I think having that kind of balance from the beginning is really important.
Yes.
What you've accomplished so much, and again are coming off several very successful years. This year too, all things considered. What's next for Dickens Mitchener? I mean, none of us have a crystal ball, but what are some of the things you really want to do in the next couple of years?
Well, this is a new venture, but we, along with some other agents, have started a charity called the Homeowners Impact Fund. And the thought around that is, if at every real estate closing, everybody involved would get $10, suddenly we would have a lot of money. And in Charlotte, if every person that participated in every transaction gave $10, we could raise $4 million per year for the Homeowners Impact Fund. So we have just rolled this out. We are hoping that other real estate firms, which some have already signed up, the lawyers that do our closings, the lenders, the buyers, the sellers, everyone will give $10, and suddenly we will have 4 million. Wells Fargo has been extremely generous and helped support us in rolling this out. And we want to take this national. We think this is huge, and the funding would be given each market. In the platform we have, you can pick the county that you would like the funding to go for, and then an already established organization that would help the homeless and help people pay their rents would get the funding. So this is big on my personal dream list. On top of, we got to continue to sell homes so that we will receive the $10 per closing. So our goal is to continue to take these 100, 110, 125 agents and to expand their business and make their lives better. We believe in the whole person. Our company was really centered around that. I was a mother, and I had a huge company growing. I had a real estate business, and I raised my 3 daughters. So we believe you can do this and treat it like a business. You definitely have to have support, not only in the organization, but other agents. So we want to continue with our agents, increasing our market share and showing that we can do this in a very beautiful fashion and still have a lifestyle and give back to our community. We love our community, and all of our agents are passionate not only about the homeless, but so many other charities. So we think Charlotte and this entire state of North Carolina is just in an incredible position to be sought after. So we're here, and we're looking forward to the next 3 to 5 years to see where the world takes us, and we can move and we can change as we've done very rapidly this year to meet the market demands.
Well, I love that, and I can definitely second that North Carolina is beautiful, especially in your area. I have family from there, so everyone watching this or come
Well,
to Vermont with us. Um, so just a few more questions. I'm curious, you mentioned, and I love that you're paying it forward and that you want to take this program. Um, it's important to continue to grow as well for you and to have more transactions so that you can also fund the homeowner impact fund. And so what tools are you using and how are you supporting your agents in that now? I know you have some marketing solutions you provide for your agents. What do those look like and what are the most successful ones?
So our marketing staff is set up uniquely where each agent is assigned a marketing specialist to support them and do everything from their electronic brochures to their social media to their database management. So they have one person that they can go to help facilitate their mailing out on their just listed and their just sold cards. So we feel like it's real important for them to have their own advocate within the firm. We do a lot of collective marketing. We have a magazine that we participate, that all the agents that we do internally, that we mail out for all the agents and do. Now since COVID, we've gone into an electronic version. So I think going forward, we will continue. We'll do more video. We think video is fantastic. So our focus going forward will be to do more video. Obviously, the social media is the most rapidly growing and continuing to grow marketplace. So we have social media marketing people in our firm to support the agents. So we continue to see that as our avenue of growth for the agents. And those specifically, I think it is the online. It's a tremendous avenue to communicate very rapidly.
It's interesting because it sounds like you as a business owner have kind of chosen to have a higher staff to agent ratio in order to prioritize agent productivity and kind of make sure that everyone's successful as opposed to the old adage of only 30% of people will be successful, just focus on them. Is that right?
That is, I do not think that the agent should be doing the marketing or the typing or that is not their role. They need to be on the phone with their clients, talking to their neighbors and their friends, talking to other real estate. That is really, in my opinion, what their role is. They're to negotiate. They're to sell their house. I don't want them staying up all night doing their brochures or trying to figure out their next social media post. To me, that's not how businesses are run, and we've always emulated ourselves. I tell the agent, you're like a doctor or a lawyer. You are the realtor, and then we have all the people in the back end to support you. And we also have that discussion when it comes down to we're not to get emotional about this. You don't want to go into surgery and your surgeon have a panic attack or stress out on the table. And that's our role, is to be very calm, very professional. You're the realtor, and this is a very large asset for our clients. So same thing, I don't want our clients to wonder why one agent got a beautiful electronic issue brochure and another one didn't. So they are all provided the same materials, from brochures to electronic listing packages, so that there's consistency. I will tell you that besides the new ones that are going through training, but they will have mentors, a client can call our organization and really pick anyone in the organization, and they are going to have an incredible experience, and it's going to be very similar to the other agents. The personalities will be different, and we want diversity in personalities and diversity in general, but they will be able to all have a very similar experience on what is offered. And I think that's really important.
Well, and it definitely, there's echoes there of what you said earlier, which is being really good at delegating and being the type of leader you are. You really know your strengths, and it sounds like you really know your agent's strengths too, and you're aligning those, which is awesome. I'm curious, you've given a lot of really actionable advice here, and certainly have inspired me. What would you tell your younger self today? What piece of advice, if you look back on your career, would you give yourself that maybe you didn't learn until later, or about getting to where you are sooner?
Well, so from a personal standpoint, the rates were 14%. Now they're not. So if I had it to do over, I'd probably buy a house every 3 to 4 years and never sell those houses, because the market over 30 years has gone up so tremendously. So I think investing in what you believe in is a very smart thing to do. Um, I think as a company owner, I Charlotte has been such a growing environment that the company's grown. And until we had some of these recessions, I thought, gosh, this is so easy. So I think now looking back, I think having the maturity of knowing that hurdles aren't going to come, and nobody could have picked this hurdle in the 2008-9 was another pretty tremendous hurdle. But just studying up a little bit about the curves and business cycles. I remember one of my agents, when we really hit the big recession and I closed a couple of offices, she said, you know what, you've had 20 years and not had anything like that. That's pretty good. And I do think that's a lesson any business owner needs to recognize. It is not going to always be fun, and there are going to be really, really tough times. And so you need to create an infrastructure of people around you that are great advisors. And once again, I was very fortunate at that time. I had a great Young Presidents Organization advising team that helped me through that huge recession and gave me the confidence to close offices. But you need to have that in place. You need to have a group that you trust as advisors. You also need to have a lot of financial revenues set aside for a downturn. So those are the kinds of things that now, looking back over 30 years, I'm like, wow, I had no idea. And luckily we've survived them, but and this has been, very shocking. When we were, that the 6 weeks when we were declared non-essential and sitting at home was a very challenging time for all of us.
Mhm. Yeah, well, and what you said about sort of opportunity being the combination of luck and planning, I think is
Yes,
definitely key. But for everyone else out there, put those systems, put those networks in place before. You never know when
exactly.
you're going to need them.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, wise words. Thank you so much again for being here. Before we go, I just want to ask, is there one fun thing you want to share with our audience? Something that most people don't know about you, or something you're really passionate about?
Well, this is not many people know about this. I got right before I got into real estate, I got bored and decided I was going to take my pilot's license. And I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and they sent me on one of my first solos. And I was supposed to go to Pinehurst, North Carolina. And I looked down and I'm like, that's too small. And I kept going and I landed a 172 airplane at Pope Air Force Base. And I looked over and there were fighter planes and there was barracks. And I did what I took back off, and I got in a little bit of trouble. My instructor definitely got into trouble. So anyway, I survived. Today they would have shot me down, but that's something that most people don't know about me. So always try different things. I mean, I don't fly now, but I did for years, and it was fun and exciting, but be prepared. I obviously wasn't prepared.
And who knew you were a pilot and a rogue pilot too?
So most people don't know that about me.
That's awesome. Well, Vicky Mitchener, thank you so much for being here. For everyone, again, this is our Female Founders Series. I'm Rachel Allard with Union Street Media, and join us for next time.
Thank you, Rachel.